On the back of this, universal human needs are in green. Uncomfortable feelings are bottom right-hand blue. Uncomfortable feelings are in the bottom right-hand corner in the blue box. Now, most of you had 4 or 5 really important universal human needs and values that weren't being met. Of course you were upset. Of course you were frustrated. Of course you were angry or hurt or whatever you were feeling. When we have really significant needs and values that aren't met, we're going to get upset. That's part of the human experience. How many of you were able to identify what the other person was feeling, at least 1 or 2 feelings that they might have been having? Perfect. How many of you were able to identify at least 1 or 2 needs or values driving the other person? Okay. So it's harder sometimes, isn't it, to imagine what's going on for the other person. But as you tuned into the needs driving the other person, or the feelings, who felt more compassion, empathy, or understanding for the other person? Wonderful, most of you. That's the purpose of this. That's the purpose. That's why we do this. The couples and families that I work with closely, I have them start filling out these challenging situation worksheets. I teach them how to take time outs. We talked a lot about that last night. And I've got a laminated sheet on how to take time outs if you weren't here last night. And don't escalate. Take a break and fill out the challenging situation worksheet. And really drop into what's really going on for you. What are you feeling? What are you needing? What's the other person feeling and needing? So I want to open it up to comments. It could be any ahas you might have had, any questions about the practice. Yes?
Question. You said don't escalate, take a step back. This is something that happens quickly. How are you supposed to recognize it when it's like that?
It's a great question. That's why I said, get to know what your triggers are. Get to know what the triggers are for the other person. And notice the very first moment of agitation within yourself, or possibly with the other, and we call yellow light. Slow it down. We've got to slow it down. And it's a practice. It's a discipline. But you were in the Army for 22 years. You know about discipline. Navy. Sorry. Big difference. Sorry. Yeah, it's about a discipline. It's learning to discipline ourselves to notice when that agitation begins, avoid the triggers, but when the triggers happen, slow it down. And it's a practice. The way I got turned on to nonviolent communication, compassionate communication, was I did a series of videos for them. And I did a video where I interviewed this guy who was an ex-con, talking about it, and I filmed it and I used this I made it into the final video, so I saw it 1,000,000 times. Big guy, he's talking about, I asked him, so what have you gotten out of this? He said, before I had these tools, somebody would say something I didn't like or piss me off. Next thing I know, my fist is in their face. Next thing I know, I'm in a fight and I'm back in the can, back in jail. Now, I still hear shit I don't like, but my fist doesn't go into their face so fast. There's more time for me to think about it. That's really helping me. I'm not going to jail anymore. I like that. That's really this dude's answer to your question. It teaches us to have more time, so it's not so fast. But it is getting to know what your triggers are. Getting to know what the other person's, noticing the moment you feel that slightest agitation. Don't suppress it. Get in touch with it. Notice it. Deal with it. Just pretend you're the Incredible Hulk. And the Incredible Hulk has to learn how to manage his anger. So he has to learn to avoid situations that are going to piss him off. Otherwise he's going to go through another set of clothes. Any other questions, thoughts, reflections? We can more.
His secret, though. Remember what his secret is.
What's the secret?
He's angry all the time.
That's right. He's angry all the time, but he learns how to manage it. Yeah. Other thoughts, reflections, ahas? Anybody have a good aha with this? Did you understand more about yourself, about the other person? Yeah? Ellen, anything you can share?
Well, it took me way longer than we have right now time to do it, but I have been practicing it already with several situations, and it's just that it really helps me when I go deeply into the process, and then I have this little like flowers are opening up, and it's like but it means to me that I have to take time and really go through it. So practice is very important here. Because if we do it too fast or on the surface, you might miss something.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really true. Any other thoughts, ahas, reflections?
It's a very simple, clear, powerful approach. I think his question is, it takes the intention to practice this.
Yeah.
Whether, if I get in the car and I start to drive my car, I can notice even before, just someone speeding up next to me, there's a male urge to speed, and I notice a little thing in my gut that goes, push the gas a little harder, and I go, oh, what's going on there? And it's just a matter of noticing repetitive habits, and then maybe having, I mean, you can't do this, I guess you could do this when you're driving your car, just consider it. And it's nice to have other people that you're not having a reaction with, that you can discuss this with a friend that you don't have a lot of reaction with, that understands this. And it just, because I've been teaching anger management, and I'm a therapist, and I've been working on this stuff for 30 years, but I'm still working on it.
God bless you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's good to
So
know
it's
that.
helpful
Yeah.
You know what I did was not give up.
I had the anger in the car, the same thing. About a year ago, I just started using my cruise control and turned up the radio, and nothing bothers me. I don't care about anything.
Ah, that's great. That's great.
The house earlier. Do you? Yeah. If I'm late, that's when I'm in traffic. Sometimes, not late. It's like that. Makes a big difference in my world. But
I'm really enjoying these different strategies. It's very cool. You know,
I don't always leave the house early.
you know, if you all fill out this challenging situation worksheet 3 to 5 times, pick just 3 to 5 situations in your life. It could be past. Fill it out between 3 and 5 times. Really study the feelings list. Really study the needs list. You'll be able to do it in your head most of the time. If it's a big situation, you'll still need to sit down and write it down. But you get to the point where you can actually just do it in your head. Oh yeah, I'm pissed off right now. What's going on? I'm frustrated and angry because my need for being understood just wasn't met in this last conversation. What's going on for the other person? They're busy. They didn't have time to really listen. You know, it's amazing. It starts getting really fast, and your life becomes much more wonderful because we're not circling around and around and around in the judgmental mind. Remember, we can only judge from the head. We can only care from the heart. When we're caring about ourselves and about others, life is pretty wonderful. When we're spinning in our head, judging ourselves or judging others, life sucks. Does that resonate for everybody? Yeah. So before we move on to the next part, I just want to, again, are there any other questions, thoughts, reflections? How's it going so far? Is it valuable? You glad you're here? Yeah? Okay. I'm having a need for reassurance. So that's what I'm checking in on. The suggested donation is $10 to $20. Anybody who puts in at least 10 or 20 can keep one of the laminated sheets, and if you want to keep both of them, pop in an extra $5 because I got to get these. They're expensive to get done at Kinko's. But I like it when people buy them and use them because if you really use these, that's why I laminate them. These are worth thousands of dollars if you use them because it'll change your life. It'll really change your life. And do me a favor. Here's the email sign-in sheet. And if you want to pop your name and email address on there and give Michael some money, that'd be great. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for coming. Yeah. All right. So let's move to the 7 adjustments. So maybe go back to the 7 adjustments, which we started. And these are the habits of our relationships that we're going to change. These are the habits we're going to change. And, I really appreciated how you identified we have to come up with a discipline, decide we're really going to do it, and then replace the old habit with the new habit. I love that you nailed that. And that's what this is all about. Just about any of the green words are interchangeable with the red words. And the red words are more than words. They're what I call a field of energy. Have you ever noticed how somebody can be using all the right words, they can be saying the right thing, but it still feels really funky? Well, it's because you're picking up that they're being diplomatic and they're being nice, but it's like another, oh, darling, I just feel so sorry for you. You must just be such a sad little thing. Right? And you just want to slug them, right? It's like all the nice words, but there's that kind of, underneath it, the kind of self-righteous trip going on. Well, it's because the field of energy that that person was in, so is in a field of energy of judgment, of make wrong, of better than, right? So, as someone who's been teaching this for quite a while and working with couples and families, I learned that the words that we use are very important, and that's what we just worked on, was how to change our words. But it's our attitude, it's our energy, it's where we're really at. That's the most important thing of all. And when we're triggered, we usually go to judgment first. That's why the first question on the challenging situation worksheet is, what's your judgment? What are your thoughts? Because that's usually what happens first. What happens first is, she's a nagging bitch. Terrible, horrible judgment that that husband had for her. And it wasn't until he gets into his own feelings, he's feeling frustrated and disappointed because his need for efficiency and reliability is not being met. And then when he begins to imagine what's really going on for her, then his heart can open again.